You would be amazed to know the lives that have been changed at Four Rivers Church over the past 5 weeks. As we looked into the teaching series, My Secret, we have recognized the beauty of confession in a world of secrets. I'm coming to you today from a Roman Catholic confessional. It's in places like this where millions of Roman Catholics on a regular basis confess their sins to their priest in order to ask God to forgive them of their mistakes and their sins. Protestant Christians many times have a problem with this process, but really I think we misunderstand the real point. They are doing a great job of seeing people confess their sins. So many times in our world, we don't give people a great opportunity to make confession. And so today, in order to encourage life change in you and in me, we want to open up this opportunity and have a worship event where each of us bring our sins to Christ in confession. Today we're going to be hearing from several people who have confessed their sins, unveiled their secrets, and they've been able to see what God will do in their lives when they come to Him with this attitude of confession. Some of these folks live all over the country. A few of them are connected to a church that we have been very close to. They did a sermon series much like our My Secret series a few months ago. And so this is our opportunity to view some of the results in other people's lives that God would like to have in yours. Our first story is about a young lady named Lisa. Lisa had everything going for her, but she was living with a dark secret. Lisa was addicted to meth.
I hated myself. I was really, really hard on myself because I wasn't supposed to be a meth addict. I was supposed to be in school and working, which I was doing, but I was hiding it. It was my secret.
I would say if you want to lose everything, you know, if you want to go nowhere in life, if you want to put your family through pain that is indescribable, you know, then try meth.
I couldn't handle my emotions, pressure and stress, all those things that I didn't want to handle them anymore. And meth makes you not care. It makes you not care about anything. That's why so many people lose everything.
Meth absolutely turns people into zombies. There's no productivity in their life. It takes away everything that they ever have earned or worked for. It'll all be lost.
I've been giving so much to God. I try to follow, and it's very difficult because I keep trying to gain control, but I need to quit working on my self-will and try to just completely work on God's will, which is so hard.
I mean, it really is a complete transformation. Her spirituality has grown so much since she's been here. I'm really proud of her.
Because I just want to have control. I want to play God, but I'm not God. And who better to be in the driver's seat of my life than God?
She glows. You can see it in her eyes, in everything she says. Her eyes just water up with tears whenever she starts talking about God and church. And it's just really cool because, you know, a lot of us have found that here. And it's a cool thing to witness.
I'm beginning to love myself, which is so hard to do because I tried so hard to damage myself.
Lisa is just a beautiful a person that's flowering and has more zeal for life than anyone I have seen in a good while.
I can't tell somebody to go get sober and them do it. They've got to find it within themselves. They've got to find God. That's the main thing, is being able to find that inner peace within yourself once you've found God. And talk to Him, because He'll forgive you. Anything and everything that I've felt guilt and shame over, God has forgiven. And I just feel reborn. I'm different because I'm sober. I have hope.
Lisa's story can be your story. God wants to do in your life exactly what He did in Lisa's. Hear your confession, forgive your sin, and then direct you to a path of freedom. Our next story is about a guy named Jason. Jason met Christ recently. He lives in Denver, Colorado, and attends Life Church, a church that we have a connection to. Jason had a wife, children, and a secret. Jason was addicted to pornography.
I was in a fraternity, so we did, a lot of normal fraternity things, a lot of, drinking and partying and women, and everyone around you is looking at the same kinds of things, and you find yourself trading this stuff like it's baseball cards. Trading movies and magazines and stuff with each other, and it started to spiral out of control pretty quick. It wasn't until my son was born, my third son, Eric. He was a month premature, so we were worried about his health from the start. But you see your baby right away, and it's always this real exciting experience. But he didn't start breathing right away. I started bargaining with God like I had some sort of bargaining power with Him. I'd never, was never a part of my life. And I'm sitting there, I'll quit this and I'll quit this. Just do I'll do anything you want. Just make him better. And he got better. And I kind of took it for granted. I didn't realize at the time it was an answered prayer. It was just, oh, okay, he's better now. And I never, I tried to follow through on what I promised, but it was short-lived. That's when I found the post from Shane, and it was just a video clip of one of the archived Life Church messages. The story just sounded like my story. I mean, it was, the things I was doing in college and the women I had been with, and it sounded that way, and it was like, well, if this, if he can do it, there's really nothing stopping me from changing what I'm doing. I went from the guy who sat up all night on the internet watching, pornography, to the guy who sat up all night on the internet researching God. My family didn't get me back right away, but at least I was there for a better purpose. I was so excited. I wish there'd been people around me, because I'd have been jumping around, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I wanted to go run around outside and just yell it to the neighborhood, but they would have probably called the cops on me. I got onto the My Secret website, and I wrote down what I felt were the hardest things for me to admit, and it was good to get it out there, but something was still incomplete, and I decided that I should tell my wife these things. There's no reason she doesn't deserve to know when the rest of the world does. So that same night I decided, I sat down with her and talked to her, and to her credit, she was very understanding. She was very forgiving of the things that I was doing that were disrespectful to her and disrespectful to God and disrespectful to my family. The next morning I woke up, and all the guilt that had been associated with it in the past, all the images that would come back into my head that I would try to fight off, they just seemed to go away. It was, I wish I had done it sooner. I don't know how many times I could say that, but I really wish I hadn't waited. I really wish I wouldn't have tried to hide it, because it was destroying me more than I ever would have admitted, more than I ever knew. And in the process, it's drawn us closer. There's nothing she doesn't know about me. It's comforting, actually. Because I get to be myself. I don't have to hide anything. I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Jason and his family will never be the same. And neither will a woman named Sandra, who confessed the secret of her eating disorder to her life group, a group much like our river groups. And in doing so, saw a great healing from God. Here is her story.
My struggle with anorexia began in 2001, a month before my 20th anniversary. My husband had an affair. He decided that life would be better without me and had plans on how he would kill me. My coping mechanism was just to not eat. I didn't have an appetite at first, and then it just got easier and easier to not eat. I got to the critical stage and people intervened, and I'd been in recovery and fully believed I was recovered until this summer. And my daughter decided that she would leave home and go with her dad, and it just broke my heart that everything that she and I had been through together, and that she would abandon me too. And so it just got easy to miss a meal here and miss a meal there. I reverted right back to my coping. I felt such shame, and how could my parents have to watch me go through this again? How could the incredible husband that God brought into my life, my strength, and how could I do this to him? And how can I do this to God, who had already brought me through that once before?
Well, the very next week, they showed up. First and foremost, there they were, and it was such an awesome feeling to see them that we knew that our prayers were answered at that point, that God was listening.
We walked into the house, and I was so burdened. I was burdened from the moment I walked in the door. And I wanted what was comfortable to me. I really, honestly wanted to leave.
At that point, several people in the group felt like we should pray for them.
People were sharing about their confessions, and again, I wanted to leave. Things went through my mind. I could just say I'm sick, and I could leave, and nobody would know. But I knew in my heart that I needed to be there, that God had brought me there for a reason. And before I even knew what was happening, I spoke.
And our hearts were just broken. Everybody in the group just felt her pain.
And they listened. And then they prayed for me. And I saw that people were shedding tears. And I couldn't believe that these people I didn't know cared that much for me. And as they prayed and as they shared, I felt a comfort that I haven't known in so long. I came home that night and I ate something. It was the first meal that I had eaten in weeks. And I honestly felt that people were praying for me the next day. I have felt my shame lifted, that God isn't ashamed of me. That it's me that's ashamed of myself. I don't view myself the same way that God views me. He has assured me that it was bought with a price. I'm not my own. He loves me. And He loves me when I struggle, and He loves me whenever I conquer.
God's love and forgiveness truly is amazing. And that's something that this next young lady found out for herself. Her name is Jackie. And Jackie left a life of promiscuity and sin to follow Christ. But shortly after giving her life to Christ, her past caught up with her. And she realized that from a past experience, she was now pregnant. Jackie panicked and aborted the child. And that abortion became her secret.
After we dated for a couple months, I found out I was pregnant. And it was extremely hard because I was one of those girls that was like, you know, this is never going to happen to me. Just like, you know, every other young girl who thinks that. You know, they can play around and have sex and do things because it'll never happen. But it does. Surprise. I was just like, I have to get out of this. So we broke up, and God put Adam right there in front of me, and he introduced me, you know, like put God back in my life.
Going through what she went through was a really tough time, and I kind of found myself at like I could be either A, judgmental and condemning, or I could be compassionate and loving, and I just chose to be as loving as possible through the whole thing.
I was 8 weeks along, and the doctor, you know, was very excited for me and just kind of, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I want to keep it. I don't know exactly how it works.
It was tough, and it was a hard time.
You know, and again, it was one of those, I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyways.
She was pretty depressed at the time, and really just didn't have a big outlook on life. Yeah.
This month would have been the month that I would have been due, and it was laying on me really, really, really hard. And I started thinking about it, and I really got over it and was kind of like, you know, this is life. You'll, you know, just pray about it. God will forgive you. You can move on from it, but it's always right there. You know, it's always going to be your past. I want to show girls that there's hope and that there's people around to talk to, and that they can't keep it bottled up inside. They can't keep it where the devil can just grab a hold of it and use it for every aspect, because that happened to me many a times.
She said, I don't want to do this for any praise at all, because, you know, she's just being real humble. I don't want to do this for any praise. I just want to help other girls and help that one girl who's out there that might need to hear this.
Don't do it. It's, right now it seems like the best idea and the best solution, but it's not. Because once it happens and you really start thinking about it, when I started thinking about it, whenever I was sitting in the place to get an abortion, I was sitting there going, why am I here? As good as it sounds and as easy as you think it's going to be afterwards, it's just as hard to go through an abortion as it is to have a baby and to live through telling people about it.
It tells the story of what we're trying to do. It is the pinnacle example of, man, when we confess and we get it out, it is then we receive forgiveness, and then it's a complete life change. It is an embodiment of everything that this series is about.
I mean, I feel like God has forgiven me. It's a huge burden, and even expressing this all now to you and to everyone else, it's like, it's okay now. I mean, I'm still scared and I'm still nervous about it, but you know how good it feels whenever you confess about a lie, or, you know, if you've hurt someone, to tell them about it, you always feel that weight off your shoulders. And this weight is huge, and it's off.